You caught me just as I was adjusting my glasses. Hi. Back from the dead, kind of. Here I am, doing my late night for early morning post. It is Friday night, the 20th. The new television show, American Horror Story Inauguration, premiered at noon Eastern Time today. So far, it is shaping up to be pretty much what we thought it would be, which is all sorts of jacked. Yeah. There were not very huge crowds. Huge. There were not huge crowds there today. It was, you know, we're talking about a guy who's more unpopular than the things he's trying to get rid of. I just saw a post today that a little while ago that stated that he polls lower than the approval rating on his disapproval rating is lower than that of the ACA, aka Obamacare. There you go. Or I should say his disapproval rating is higher. More people approve of the ACA than they do of him. The thing that all of a sudden, idiots are freaking out over, going, oh, wait a minute, no, I didn't think he meant he was getting rid of that. I thought he meant he was getting rid of Obamacare. Yeah, that's because you're an idiot. So, but anyway, I almost used some of that Obamacare last night, even though I don't have it. I was in bad shape yesterday, really. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. There were fluids coming out of all three orifices. That's all I need to tell you. It was just horrible. And at one point around 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning, I was so weak. I mean, it took like every ounce of energy I had to get up and walk maybe 12 feet, 15 feet to the refrigerator, about 4 meters to get water. And I knew I needed it because I needed to get hydrated because I knew I was really dehydrated. And I mean, it was like within minutes after drinking, it was right back having to get rid of it. I was flushing it out. And I actually sat there, I was laying on my easy chair here, going, I may have to go to the hospital. I may really have to go to the ER and tell them I've got either a stomach virus or I've got food poisoning and I need rehydration. The only problem was I could not have walked across the street. There's a hospital across the street. I could not have walked across the street to get into the ER. I don't think so. It really, I was in that bad a shape. So I said, I'll give this a few hours and see if it helps. And I finally was able to make some tea, and that did help. I started to get tea in, and that slowed down the expulsions. I mean, I was still going to the bathroom, but the discharge was not as great as what was going in. So I knew slowly I was getting rehydrated. But still, that was scary. I had this happen to me once before in China in 1999 when I was there on a 6-week stay, and I came down with like either a mild, I think it was a mild case of food poisoning because it hit me within about an hour and a half of eating breakfast. And I knew what I'd had. I'd had some rice porridge, and then I was out for a walk, and all of a sudden, man, I could feel the stomach grumbling coming on, and I said, I better get back to the hotel, and I got back just in time. And I spent all day Saturday and most of Sunday laying up in the hotel room, just out cold. And at one point, about noon on Sunday, I managed to walk down to the corner store because I had already went through 6 liters of water. Liters. I'm talking liters of water here. I'd went through 6 liters of water in my hotel room, and I was out of water, and it still was not keeping me hydrated enough. So I went down to the corner store and bought, I think it was 4 liters more, um, and just walked back to the hotel room. And I was finally able to get down something solid, and by solid I mean French onion soup, at like 8 o'clock that Sunday night. I called down to room service and I said, "Could you send up some French onion soup?" And they did, and that was the first meal I had in like 36 hours. Really, it was 36, 38 hours. It was the only food I'd had, and I didn't even eat that much the next day when I went into work. And fortunately, one of the guys in the office, he gave me some pills. He says, "These are good. These will help your stomach. These are actually stuff that they manufacture here in China, because people get this all the time." And I guess it was like in a kind of Imodium or something like that. I don't know what it was, but it cleared me right up. And I was able to finally eat well that Monday evening. But in from that Saturday to the Tuesday, I weighed myself Tuesday morning. I had lost 12 pounds. That's bad. I mean, that was like it, that was horrible. And even the people at the plant were like, "Why didn't you go to the hospital?" I'm sitting there going, I don't know where I would have went. I just don't know what I would have done, because I was in mainland China. It would have been like, where do I go? And he said, one guy told me, he says, well, they would have taken you to a hospital for Westerners. I said, well, I'll remember that. But that was the closest I ever came to needing, beef jerky, medical attention in another country. And it was heavy. So I'm all ready for tomorrow. Um, I've got cashews and beef jerky as a quick energy snack. I have my phone and my battery for charging it. We will have water on the buses. I've got what I'm going to wear pretty much laid out already. Since it's supposed to be in the mid 50s tomorrow, I'm just going to go with jeans, tennis shoes, wool socks. I don't believe I'm going to wear the undergarments, because I think I'll just end up getting too hot. Sweatshirt and a fleece jacket, and the fleece jacket has a lot of pockets on it, so I think I'll put a lot of stuff. There's 2 sets of interior pockets at the bottom. I'll put a lot of stuff in those. There are zip up pockets for my hands. I can put my phone, or I'm still contemplating whether or not I want to take my ID, like a small wallet or not, and keep one in there, because there's also a zipper pocket on the arm here. And I'm thinking of just taking my license, my ATM, my debit card, and a credit card. And I today received the pass for the DC Metro. So just putting them in there with like $40 and some singles and change, so that I don't have to carry a wallet, and I'll just leave my purse on the bus. It's going to be locked. They told us we don't have to worry about anyone, getting in and breaking into the buses or anything like that. So we're good. So I'm all ready for tomorrow. It is gonna be a long day, and I realized that the march is actually over at like 2 in the afternoon, and we don't have to be back at the buses until 6. We're not leaving DC until 6. So I actually have a few hours to kill while I'm in DC. So I was actually thinking of maybe spending a few hours at the Air and Space Museum, since it's right there. And then, since it's only a few blocks north of the metro, then I'll walk down to the metro station and take the metro back to the parking lot and get on the bus, guess, and wait to return. But I will not get back here into beautiful Harrisburg until, they're saying like 9 o'clock at night. I'm thinking it's probably going to be closer to like around 10. It'll probably be close to 10 by the time I get home here. So I'll be up at 4, out the door before 5, leaving Harrisburg at 6. leaving DC at 6, and then getting back here probably between 9 and 10 o'clock. Long day. I am going to be racked out. And I said I was going to write tonight, and here it is already 9 p.m., and I haven't done a damn thing. I have not done any writing. Man, I'm out of it. I have not done any writing. I probably will not get any writing done. We'll see. I'll try. I have some things that I'm going to do. As I told Rennie on messages, that where I left it off, Emma got up and her and Carrie, they're getting ready for the first class of Advanced Flight 2. The chapter I'm in I've called Freaky Friday, and it is about that Friday. It starts off with Carrie being in Advanced Flight 2, then we'll switch over to a scene with Annie, something that she's going to do. Then we go back to Carrie, who's actually out with Emma, and they will be discussing how her summer vacation went. We'll find out what actually happened with her family. And then the last scene will be Carrie and Annie back finally at the Midnight Madness, and they are now, they're the upperclassmen. They're getting there. They're the upperclassmen. They've matured. And the scene I left off on was, as we know, because I talked about it in the book, Emma's experienced this huge growth spurt. She's like nearly adult size now. And she's very self-conscious about it because, she's 13 years old. She's 13 years old and she's like 5'6", 5'6", 5'7". So she's really self-conscious about the fact that she's taller than nearly everybody else in her level. And Frankie Smith, the meanest Canadian in the world, and who also happens to be a witch, he comes in and he's making some weird comments about Emma. He's basically putting her down, making fun of her size. And he finally says something to where Emma stands up, turns around. I'll spoil this. She stands up and she turns around, looks at her, and she goes, "I am sick of your bullshit, Frankie, so why don't you just kiss my ass?" And that's kind of where I left it. She's just gotten finally pissed off to the point where it's time to break out the swear words. And given that she hangs around Nadine, who is her team captain on Team Blackbird, and Nadine Woodson has been known to drop the F-bomb left and right whenever she's wanted to. In fact, the first time we saw her was as a sea level, and Carrie and Emma were asking for their brooms, and it was being held up. They were questioning who was, why these kids wanted these Espinosa brooms. And Nadine just finally says, "Give them the fucking brooms, would you? You're holding shit up." So, yeah. Emma's had 2 years to hang around Nadine. So, yeah, she's picked up some colorful language in that time. Yeah. And that is one thing you're going to see. The kids' language patterns are going to change. There will be a touch more swearing, more and more. And both Annie and Carrie at some point are going to drop an F-bomb or two. Yeah, they're just going to get so frustrated and so angry, they will drop an F-bomb. And as I was assured by my younger daughter, as opposed to my older daughter, as I was assured to by my daughter, 12, 13-year-old kids, they don't have any problems talking like that. So I figured my kids are no different, and they probably are. By the time they're ready to graduate, they're probably going to swear a blue streak now and then. It won't be a constant thing, but every so often you'll hear them drop one. And that was one of the things that was kind of amazing was actually going back and reading some of the stuff from the first novel, and even some of the stuff from the second novel, and seeing the progression of how they're actually growing, because you can literally see their personalities on the page changing as they get older, as they get more experienced, as they experience more things. You're actually starting to see it. And now that Carrie's going through this really traumatic time in his life, and Annie's kind of going through, she's having to deal with the same thing that Carrie's dealing with. And she knows that there are things that are coming up in his life that she will have to deal with. You're seeing it start to affect her slightly as well. She's becoming more of a young woman as Carrie is becoming more of a young man. And you go back and read some of the stuff from the A-level novel, and they really were just like 11 and 12-year-old kids then. Now they're a bit more mature. Sure, they're 13 and 14 years old, but they're far more mature now. And it's just going to get even more and more. They're almost like, because witches mature so fast, they're almost like young adults at this point. So, but it was kind of fun. I actually found something in the B-level novel that Deanna said to Annie, which when I read it, I was like, oh crap, I forgot all about that. So I have to go back in the C-level novel here and change some of a couple of things that were said, because there was something that Deanna came up with and kind of said, hey, don't do this. And of course, Annie didn't listen. And it will tie into this thing that that Deanna is going to teach them. But it's so much fun. I do miss things. But yeah, well, I just wanted to keep this nice and short. I probably will get an excerpt out on Sunday, and by the time you see this, I'll probably be almost all the way to DC. So take care. I will bring back plenty of pictures, some video, I hope, and a lot of stories. And we'll talk about just how great the adventure to DC, to the Women's March on Washington, will actually be tomorrow. So take care. Bye.